Tonight's episode of Bring the Heat is presented by My Place Hotels. My Place is a proud sponsor to be the official hotel of Front Stretch with plush beds, in-room kitchens, and pet-friendly hotels. My Place, well, it makes the perfect pit stop when you guys are traveling. Race fans, you can use a promo code FRONTSTRETCH to save 10% off your stay at any of our nationwide properties. Once again, that's 10% off at nationwide. Just use the code FRONTSTRETCH. This racing season, be sure to make My Place your place.
It's time for Bringing the Heat with Bryan Nolen.
It is another edition of Bringing the Heat with Bryan Nolen. It is the first week of June. It is the summertime, and it is the meat and potatoes of the NASCAR season. On this episode of the podcast, we got Butterbean Brenden Queen going to be joining us. He's going to be talking, well, he did talk with our guy Trenton at a Cars event a couple weeks ago, and we thought, hey, it was such a good interview, we will play it on the podcast. So without further ado, let's dive on into the Inferno with Butterbean.
Now it's time for
Butterbean Queen, 27 years old, from Chesapeake, Virginia.
Big run for William Sawalich here if he can get
trying to block William Sawalich, and he does it. Butterbean wins it.
To go into the Inferno with Bryan.
Trenton here with FrontStretch.com with Brenden Queen, a.k.a. Butterbean. Man, you got 2 wins on the season so far, Daytona and Kansas. Did you expect any of that to start the year?
I knew the Pinnacle Racing Group 28 would be fast, so the pressure was on me, like I tell everybody. So I knew the car could. I just had to figure out how to do it myself from behind the wheel, because they bring such good cars every week. So I didn't know how it would turn out, but I'm glad it's been in the right direction for me.
Yeah, and so, like we've covered you since, your car store days and winning at Florence and stuff. For people who are getting to know you, the Bean Nation, the Waffle House man, what's your backstory? Give yourself a little introduction to the people who may be getting familiar with you.
Yeah, just a late model stock short track guy, and was very content with that, racing at Langley Speedway, driving my own car. And then I got the opportunity to go drive for Lee Pulliam the last 2 years on the Cars Tour, and just tried to really build our fan base, which thanks to Bean Nation has been amazing. And bring them along to the Waffle House, as I like to say. So we just have fun with it, and had some success with late model racing, and I thought that that's pretty much all I'd be as a late model guy, which there's nothing wrong with that, and I was very content with it. But got these opportunities to move up, so I had to take them while I still could.
You came up with Lee Pulliam, and now he's got Laney Busey and some other drivers in that car store. Just working with that group, that organization, they got great equipment and stuff. So what was the experience like to getting you ready for, I guess, the bigger series of NASCAR?
Yeah, so I actually had a crew chief on my family car, Phil Warren, and he was like a dad to me and did so much, and he got me ready for that opportunity with Lee. And then Lee took over and got me ready for this opportunity, and basically just helped mold me into. Phil had done such a good job getting me where I could win races, and Lee just took me from one track to being able to win at multiple tracks, and helped me as a person, really. Just my time there is super, I don't know the word I'm looking for, but beneficial, and I look back on those times and just, love it, reminisce of it, and so thankful for it, and just made me a better person all the way around, and just ready for these opportunities. And you talk about Lee, I mean, he's definitely one that lets me know every week that I can win, and it goes a long way when somebody's telling you that.
Yeah, and you've had some partners come along. Folsom Fence Supplies on your uniform right now, and they've sponsored guys and girls in the Cars Tour as well. And so bring those partners up to the ARCA Series, that has a national spotlight week in and week out. What's that been like from the business side of things?
Yeah, Folsom Fence came on board with me last year during our Cars Tour championship, and they were a big part of that. And super cool to see them take another step with me as I take a step up, and just super blessed to be able to give them this opportunity to see their car go around a big track. And nothing wrong with late model racing. We needed them in the late model world, but I'm thankful that they still stick with me and get to come do this. And I'm a late model guy at heart, but I want to race as a career, and you got to move up. And it's sad having to leave that world, but I still keep up with it, and anytime I can get a chance to go back, I always want to.
Now, what are you doing your downtime between weeks? Is ARCA series, there could be 2 to 3, maybe 4 weeks, between races, and so as a racer yourself, who's not ripping around the late model scene right now, what are you doing in your spare time when the ARCA series is off?
Working hard with everybody at Chevy, Josh Wise, Scott Speed, and those guys, just trying to prepare myself mentally and physically, and then running on my sim, just studying film, just trying to be more prepared for each race. Yes, sometimes we get more weeks off, but it gives me extra time to prepare for the next one. So we're getting ready to hit a pretty busy stretch of 4 or 5 in a row, and I'm just trying to be ahead of it on my learning curve.
And just recently for the NASCAR All-Star Weekend, the cars had a big presence on FS1. And what did that mean, coming up through that series, seeing it have that national spotlight like that?
Yeah, super cool. Honestly, jealous. Wish it would have happened while I was racing there. And, Flo does such a good job, so don't take anything away from Flo.
Absolutely.
But I just know people that won't make the payment to Flo. Most of them have FS1, so it was really cool to see. But it just shows that you need to make that subscription to Flo, because that's what is produced every week. And super big to be on national television, though. And at the same time, I was there, so I got to be a little bit of a part of it. I wish I was driving, but I enjoyed seeing, how big it was.
Last one for you, I got to ask, has there been any talks, business-wise, promotion-wise, with the Waffle House? You shout them out on national TV every time you win, and I'm sure they've seen it. Has there been any talks with Waffle House for any kind of sponsorships?
No, I wish. We've tried. Tag them up, Big Nation. Let them know. If not, I guess we're gonna have to go to Chili's or something. But no, I'd like to have a Waffle House car. That'd be sweet.
All right, appreciate your time.
Thank you.
Once again, that was Trenton Worsham's interview with Brenden Butterbean Queen. Big thanks to Trenton for allowing us to get that interview that he conducted when Butterbean was at the ARCA race in Charlotte. So big thanks there. Let's dive on into what is still hot and bring in my co-host.
What's still hot? It's time to upgrade you on the latest news in NASCAR.
All right, I'm going to bring in my co-host at this time. You can catch him. Oh, my God. Just that smile. And oh, good God almighty.
I missed your smile, too.
Oh, God. Oh. At Wyatt W Racing on the Twitter. You can catch him. He's basically everywhere, through the gears. Every single Friday, he's got all your latest betting odds. He's the host of the Pit Straight, where we talk Formula One. We talk IndyCar. He does social media. He does our video. He's a little bit of everything. And now he's a co-host on Bringing the Heat. Wyatt Watson joins the program. Wyatt, what's going on, my friend? How you doing, buddy?
Just hop out of the shower. I'm in a little bit of a storm right now if I get a little connection issue, but I'm doing great. Had a great doubleheader for me. The Detroit race for IndyCar was amazing. Nashville was pretty good. I really wish Hostfar got it on because he was one of my picks on Through the Gears last week, but nonetheless, great race there, and I'm very excited to be back on Bringing the Heat. First time in a long time, buddy.
Yeah, exactly. I thought we'd bring you on. I don't want you to hog up all the podcasts since you do basically 2 of them a week. But I was like, I might as well sneak you in here for at least an appearance.
Shout out my buddy Caleb Barnes too. I've been helping out on the Stock Car Scoop.
Oh yes.
Well after
see, good God. Let's see. So I think this will be, besides happy hour, 1, 2, 3, and then 4 podcasts out of 5 coming up this
Swiss Army knife, baby.
Literally. Goodness gracious. With that being said, let's dive on in. The second overall rating has come out for Amazon Prime, a little bit lower than last weekend's race at Charlotte. It got a 1.10 rating with 2.06 million viewers for Sunday's race in Nashville. No direct comparison to last year's race because it started on NBC, concluded on USA. Obviously, last year's race got a 3.24 million viewership rating, but then again, it was under a weather delay. It eventually moved to USA, where it got 2.13. Even though that it is a little bit lower, it's still a good number just because it's on the streaming. And I do feel like NASCAR is going in the right direction because they are getting the younger audience in, and more younger audience is using streaming.
Yeah, absolutely. Getting the better younger audience is where the sport needs to go in the future. Granted, if you look at the USA numbers, that at the end of that Nashville race, granted that was the 5 overtime race we're talking about, where things just went to all hell at the end of that race. So you had the same amount of people watching the end of that race comparatively to this race on Amazon, which wasn't as active as it was at the end of the Ally 400 as it was before. Now Cracker Barrel 400, great sponsor by the way, but it's a good number for Amazon. I mean, it's only the second race. We don't really have a lot to go off of except like we had the Coke 600 last week. Of course, it's going to have bigger numbers than this specific race. I'm more curious to when we're going to have Michigan this week, and then we're going to have Mexico City, a new track and a broader audience, I would think, with getting the Hispanics down there in the country of Mexico. I'm looking forward to seeing what the rest of the numbers are going to look like for Amazon.
Yeah, I am too, and it is very interesting. I'm intrigued to see what's happening in Michigan. Obviously, I think Mexico City is going to get a bump just because it's the first time ever that they're going to go to Mexico City for the Cup Series race, and it's going to be one of the first road courses we've had in a long time. I think since Coda. Correct me if I'm wrong. Okay,
unless you count the Chicago Street Course.
Well, that hasn't happened yet, Wyatt.
Oh, yeah. Okay. I thought you meant new.
No. I got you. It'll be interesting to see the ratings, and then you end it with Pocono before they head off to TNT. So we'll have to wait and see. But overall, solid numbers. What's not solid though, Wyatt, is what Jordan Bianchi and Jeff Gluck. Well, their reporting was solid, but the things that they reported was not solid. That being, Jim France was looking to be behind a backing Spire entry. He was the Athletic was reporting last Thursday that Jim France would fund a car that would have been fielded at Sonoma Raceway by Spire Motorsports with Action Express's Jack Aiken behind the wheel. Well, according to Kelly Crandall of Racer.com, Racer has since learned that amid the speculation as to his reasoning that the venture was driven by his by Jim France's love of racing, and that it was bad timing, which is why that they scrapped this. And why I bring this up, and it's so bad. I just don't get why they even attempted it. I mean, they're in a lawsuit with two owners suing NASCAR, and then they're trying to create a conflict of interest like we've been seeing in IndyCar and all the bad publicity they've gotten leading up to the Indy 500. I mean, it is so narrow-minded and so short-sighted. It is just mind-boggling how dumb some of these decisions are, and this probably is at the top of the cake right there. I mean, it's mind-boggling how dumb it is.
Yeah, it's absolutely stupid what happened over this weekend. And great reporting from Jordan Bianchi, Jeff Gluck, and all of them at The Athletic for uncovering all this. And yeah, I mean, this is one of those things that we feared NASCAR and the Jim France family would do and try to pull off in NASCAR. And I don't think it's good for the sport, period, point blank, period. There's nothing much else to say other than it's a shame that they're trying to do this. And especially with all the drama between 2311 and Front Row and the lawsuit, like you mentioned, this is such a terrible time to try to appease this situation. You have the playoffs that are under scrutiny on a yearly basis with whatever happens during the season. I mean, the fact that this is happening and this almost happened this year with everything going on is kind of a shame.
Yeah, I don't get the timing. I really don't. But we'll have to wait and see. I mean, according to Jeff Dickerson was on Door Bumper Clear on Tuesday, and he said the car is ready to go. The car is going to be if someone wants to jump on, they have a pit crew, the Spire crew. Wow. Trucks were off. So I mean, the car is ready. So I mean, if you're a driver that has money that wants to bring a sponsorship, I would call Jeff Dickerson, but we'll have to see. No, Trey, you're not going to drive. God knows that. But
Michael Massey's not going to drive either.
Michael Massey would wreck somebody. He would say he got wrecked, but no, he would wreck somebody because we all know that. But It'll be interesting to see if that card does come to fruition, if Jim France enters somewhere maybe like in Chicago or Watkins Glen or something. But we'll just have to wait and see. But once again, this What is Still Hot segment was presented by My Place Hotels. It is a proud sponsor to be the official hotel sponsor of Front Stretch. Plush beds, in-room kitchens, pet-friendly hotels. My Place makes for the perfect pit stop while you are traveling. Race fans, are you guys going to be going to Michigan? Are you guys going to be going to Iowa? Well, folks, you can use the promo code FRONTSTRETCH to save 10% off your stay at any of our nationwide properties. Once again, 10% off nationwide. All you got to use the code at checkout, FRONTSTRETCH. So this racing season, be sure to make My Place your place. Let's dive on into the soundbite of the week, where we hear from a very, very angry Mr. Ricky Stenhouse Jr.
Well, Tony, what angered you at the end of the race? What did you take issue with?
What the hell do you think I was mad about? Dumb little runs us clear down to the infield. He wants to about everybody else, and he's the one that drives like a little. I'm gonna bust his ass.
Thanks, Tony.
Thank you.
And short track racing.
It's time for the sound bites of the week.
Out the infield care center, it looks like he tried to get back up there, but the car just wouldn't go.
Yeah, I don't know. I think they said our rear bumper was broken half or something, so they wouldn't let us back out. But yeah, just not real thrilled with that exit, especially at stage 2 there. He had tried to dive bomb me 2 laps before that from about 10 or 12 car lengths back, and then he finally was close enough that time just to wipe us out. So bummer for all our team. We've been putting in good work and putting ourselves in good positions. You know, we were 17th, 18th there, and felt like we were making our car better. We were falling off too far on the longer run, so just trying to get that better. Unfortunately, we don't have a shot anymore.
How egregious is it to be that aggressive battling for 17th when you're just in the second stage of the race?
Yeah, I think it's definitely over-aggressive. I think that's Carson. Maybe I should have just hung a right and let him go. I'm not sure. If he would have gotten to my inside, I would have let him go, but just to keep dive bombing me, and you can't just give up spots just to give up spots. So I felt like it was definitely over-aggressive.
Once again, that was Ricky Stenhouse Jr. talking with Lee Spencer, Dalton Hopkins, and others at Nashville. Wyatt, I'll talk more about Carson in a little bit, but it feels like we're talking about Carson Osfar and wrecking somebody. Do you have a problem with this? I mean, he did finish second, but do you have a problem with this?
I mean, it's not the worst thing he's done this year, and frankly, in his career, he got in a little too deep. And what I've heard, what I've seen on social media, Carson Hocevar hasn't reached out to talk to Ricky Stenhouse yet, according to the man himself. I forget what podcast it was though, but I don't have a problem with it personally. That was not the worst move that you can make going into a turn in Nashville, or really that track like that where it's so tough to pass. I mean, to quote Dale Earnhardt, I think he was just trying to rattle his cage and move him up a little bit and not flat out wreck the guy. But I mean, we've seen people make that kind of move in the past in other generations of racing, and much less has come out of that. So Ricky Stenhouse can certainly be upset, be pissed, and retaliate for sure, but I don't see it as like, oh my goodness, Carson Hocevar is being a dirty driver. That's just who Carson Hocevar is.
Exactly. I'll talk more about my thoughts on Carson Hocevar on the final thought segment. So let's dive on into that final thought segment right now.
It's going to be a drag race all the way back to the start-finish line. No caution. They're side by side, right to the line. Big crash. Here they come. Checkered flag.
The checkered flag is out, and it's time for the final thoughts.
Segment is in the air. Whatever you want to rant, rave, or anything in between, Mr. Wyatt Watson, the floor is yours, my friend.
Oh, I'd like to talk. I mentioned it earlier. I would like to talk about that IndyCar race that happened before the Cup Series race. What a topsy-turvy, I didn't think Detroit could get that exciting, but I was on the edge of my seat once the green flag flew with Lundgaard lunging it into the turn 3 at the start. You had Alex Palou get tagged by David Malukas, and now that points lead isn't as tall as it once was. You have the Tony Kanaan and Scott McLaughlin beef that happened, which we've written our great Tom Blackburn has written a great article about. You should check it out on our frontstretch.com page. But overall, like, Detroit was more exciting than I would have anticipated it to be. And I even talked a little bit about it on the Pit Straight, that it was probably more exciting than Belle Isle could be as a track for IndyCar. And I think it was a solid race. I think I'm really excited to see what more we can get out of the streets of Detroit going forward with this car. And yeah, now that we move on to another great track that we had last year at Worldwide Technology Raceway in a few weeks, I am excited to see what comes up in the IndyCar series.
Yeah, it was a great race. I personally loved it. It was a little topsy-turvy, and you never knew what was going to happen. There felt like there's two main pit strategies. One that had like Pato and Scott Dixon. The other one had obviously Kirkwood and everything, and it did end up with Kirkwood. Great run by Santino Ferrucci as well in second. Kind of like what we were talking with Santino Ferrucci, a guy that also gets noticed for potentially sometimes the wrong reasons, that being Carson Hocevar. But the thing is, like, why are we making such a big deal of this? Like, Dale Earnhardt back in the day, if we had social media when he was doing some of the stuff that he was doing, I mean, good God, we would have social justice keyboard warriors be absolute minds. They would be throwing their iPads into their garden with granola in it. I mean, good God, the guy's trying to win a race. He's 22, 23 years old. The guy is young, dumb, and well, you can fill in the rest. But like, the guy sure is aggressive. He's going to make mistakes, but like, he's doing what everybody wants. He's rattling people's cages. He's being a great ambassador to the sport. I mean, for the love of God, I was listening, I think it was either to the Teardown with Jeff Gluck or DBC, and they were saying how Hocevar literally watches every single truck race from the stands with the fans, and even sometimes some of the Xfinity races, just because he loves racing. He drives the Dale Earnhardt truck and just going around town when he's not at the racetrack. I mean, this is a guy that is charismatic, that is great, and he could be a superstar if he starts winning. And for everybody bitching about it, I mean, just shut up. I'm so tired of the social justice being aka politically correct. It's absolute crap, and I'm tired of it. Sure, he made enemies along the way. Sure, he's not your normal dog and pony show. Sure, he's not going to be buttoned up like 110% of Hendrick Motorsports is, but I don't want him to be that. We want people to not be robots, and finally, we're starting to not get robots. We thought we were going to have that Ross Chastain, but then he got neutered, so fingers crossed that Carson Hocevar does not get his balls chopped off by a big team.
Dang it, Rick.
I know.
Why did you have to do that to Ross? But I 100% agree with that. 100%. I couldn't say it any better. Carson Hocevar should show his personality like he does. He's charismatic on Twitch. His Twitch streams are freaking awesome too. He's just an uncensored little ball of just energy. Or big. Really is. He's tall as hell, of course, but he is truly a racing fan at heart, and I can't knock the guy for being that. And he races like it too, and it's very entertaining. He and Noah Gragson had some guys in the garage and out there on the track. Period. And Carson Hocevar has the talent to show that he's going to get a win by the end of this year.
1,000% would agree in the Noah thing. I mean, if those two guys start winning, they're going to be fan favorites very, very fast. And it was last thing before we wrap this up. Why it was funny. Jeff Dickerson, the owner Spire, was telling a story. He was like, yeah, somehow, some way, Carson broke into the track like Saturday night and was in our rig and was on the simulator at like 10:30 at night. And I'm just like, how in the world did you sneak into the track? But like, he just wants to learn and just likes to play iRacing, everything. And that's, I mean, like, sure, like he likes to have fun, but like, he's also like, he studies and practices so hard, and you can see the results. And I mean, second last week, he's gonna get better, and it wasn't just a fluke. I could definitely see him win at his home track this weekend too in Michigan. So maybe something to get a betting eye on that, Mr. Wyatt Watson. But last but not least, Wyatt, let's dive on into what you are going to be cooking up on Front Stretch. What is coming up on Through the Gears, my friend?
Yeah, absolutely. I will have my eye on Carson Hocevar literally the rest of the season here at Michigan. Still don't know who will be on for guests. It'll be on tomorrow. We'll be recording that. But yeah, we'll be talking about Michigan best bets, best prop bets, who to keep an eye on for that. Maybe looking at Tyler Reddick, maybe a William Byron, some drivers who have raced real well here at the only 2-mile D-shaped oval that we go to anymore. Rest in peace, Auto Club. But yeah, oh man, I wish I could go there. But yeah, we will have that. The pit straight will be off this week. We don't have anything, any open wheel action this week, but be sure to tune in the week after when we go to Gateway. Excited to see what happens there and the carnage and great racing that IndyCar puts on that speedway.
Wyatt, once again, at Wyatt W Racing on the Twitter, at the Bryan Nolen. Big thanks to Trenton Worsham as well as Trey Lau for this podcast. Coming up next, like Wyatt mentioned, Through the Gears. Then you got Stock Car Scoop. I think Adam Cheek is guest starring. If not, it'll be Wyatt. I gotta make sure. Trey will probably put it in a comment. It is Adam. Okay, Adam Cheek will be making a surprise guest return to his old playground in Stock Car Scoop. And then you got Happy Hour every Tuesday. Trey Dalton and Michael Massey is going to have all the latest from the previous weekend in racing. Wyatt, it's always a pleasure. Appreciate you, buddy, and let's have you on again later in the year.
It's great to see you again, man. Can't wait.
Awesome. For Mr. Wyatt Watson, I am Bryan Nolen. Thank you so much for joining us. We'll talk to you next week here on another edition of Bringing the Heat.
My Place Hotels is proud to be the official hotel partner of Front Stretch. With plush beds, in-room kitchens, and pet-friendly hotels, My Place makes for the perfect pit stop when traveling. Front Stretch fans can use promo code FRONTSTRETCH to save 10% on your stay at any of our nationwide properties. Sign up for our Stay Rewarded program to get even more savings. With My Place Hotels, don't just stay rewarded.